Have you ever landed on a website and just thought, wow, this is beautiful? Ever wondered what makes it go from just a bunch of text to a really engaging experience? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the magic behind all modern web design. We are talking about CSS. All right, let's just jump right in. On the left, you see the Netflix homepage, right? Sleek, organized, totally inviting. But look over on the right. That is the exact same page with one single crucial ingredient taken away. It's just a jumble of text and links. I mean, it technically works, but let's be honest, it's a complete mess. So, what is this invisible force? What's the secret sauce that breathes life and style and order into the web? That is the big question, and we are going to answer it right now. To really get it, you first need to understand the two core building blocks of any web page, HTML and its essential partner, CSS. Now, they have very different jobs, but they are both absolutely critical. Think of it like this, okay? HTML is the skeleton of the page. It's the structure, it defines all the raw content, the headings, the paragraphs, the images. It's the what. But CSS? CSS is the style. It's the clothes, the haircut, the personality. It controls the entire look and feel, the colors, the fonts, the layout. It's the how it looks. So what does CSS actually stand for? It's Cascading Style Sheets, and that name is a pretty big clue. It's a sheet of styles that cascade, or kind of flow down, from general rules to more specific ones. It's the official rulebook for everything you see and feel on a website. Okay, so how does this language actually work? You might be thinking, it's gotta be super complex, right? But the fundamental idea behind it all is surprisingly simple and kinda elegant, actually. The entire concept of CSS, the whole thing, really just boils down to one simple idea. You select something, and then you style it. That's it. That is the core of all web design, right there. Let's break that down just a bit. Every single CSS rule has two parts. First up, you've got the selector. That's the what. It's how you pinpoint the exact piece of your website you want to change, like, say, all of your main headings. And second, you have the declaration. That's the how. It's the specific style you want to apply, like making the text bigger or changing its color. And this simple example shows it perfectly. Look at this line of code. The little p there is our selector. We're telling the browser, hey, I want to change all the paragraphs on this page. Then, the part in the curly braces, that's our declaration. We're saying, make their color blue. Simple, right? Select, then style. Now let's get to the fun part. Let's see how these simple little rules can build up into really powerful designs. And we'll start with probably the most visible and impactful tool in the whole CSS toolkit, color. You see, color is so much more than just decoration. It's psychology. I mean, think about it. It's no accident that fast food brands like McDonald's use tons of red and yellow. Why? Because those colors have been psychologically shown to stimulate appetite and create feelings of happiness. That's not just design. That's design with a purpose. And CSS gives designers incredibly precise control over every single color. You can just use a simple name, like red. Or if you want to get specific, you can mix your own custom shade using RGB values for red, green, and blue. And most often, you'll see these hex codes. That's that compact code that can represent over 16 million unique colors. But of course, it's not just about color. Not even close. CSS is like the master conductor of the whole visual orchestra. You get to control the typography by picking the fonts, the breathing room with spacing and margins, the entire structure with layout rules, and even tiny details like borders. But today's websites don't just sit there looking pretty, do they? No, they move, they react, they adapt to whatever screen you're on. And this is where CSS gets really, really exciting when we start making things dynamic. Believe it or not, with just a few lines of CSS, you can add really smooth animations. Using properties like transition and transform, you can make a button gently pulse when you hover over it, or make an icon spin to catch your eye. It adds this layer of polish that makes a website feel truly alive and interactive. And maybe the most critical job for CSS today is making websites responsive. It uses this really clever technique called media queries. They're basically just if-then rules. A media query says, hey, if the screen is this small, like a phone, then use these different styles. It's the magic that makes sure a website looks fantastic, whether you're on a giant monitor or the phone in your pocket. Okay, so let's bring it all together. We've looked at the individual rules, we've seen the building blocks. Now let's see how they all combine to build something complex, professional, and something you'd instantly recognize. So remember that simple little rule we started with? Select something, then style it. What do you think happens when you don't just write one of those rules, but hundreds of them, each one controlling a tiny little piece of the page? Well, you can build this. And what you're seeing, that's not a screenshot of Amazon's website. It's a project built from the ground up using only HTML for the skeleton and CSS for the style. Every color, every font, every box and button, it's all just a big combination of those simple rules we talked about, all working together to create something complex and familiar. So, when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? It's this. CSS can absolutely make or break a website. It is the fundamental bridge that takes us from just raw, plain information to a compelling, intuitive, and beautiful experience. And that really brings us to our final thought. We've pulled back the curtain, we've revealed the language that literally paints the entire web. Now that you know the secret behind the art of web design, it leaves just one question. What will you create?